I was popped up, and then I don't know if it was just we were heavier than everybody else or we just hit it right, and we just hit that pressure plate IED as we rolled over it, and I was launched from the vehicle after the explosion.
Every man listening to this show has a version of himself he has quietly agreed to. Maybe it's 80%. Maybe it's 70%. Maybe he used to be the guy who pushed limits, and now he was a guy who just manages comfort. My guest today does not have that option. He had it taken from him on a road in Iraq. And what he did next is the reason he is sitting across from me. Welcome to No Hype, Just Standards. I'm Zac Armstrong. Today, I'm sitting down with Gunnery Sergeant Isaac Gallegos, just retired from the United States Marine Corps after nearly 2 decades of service. Purple Heart, IED survivor, infantry scout with 3rd Light Armored Reconnaissance Battalion when his vehicle hit a pressured plate IED in 2006. 2 artillery rounds, drums of homemade napalm, 84% of his body burned, jaw shattered into 37 pieces, pronounced dead 3 separate times before doctors could stabilize him. 161 surgeries later, Isaac did not just survive. He fought his way all the way back onto active duty. He scored a 292 on his combat fitness test. He carried an 80-pound ruck through the Bataan Memorial March. He ran a 100-mile ultramarathon non-stop. He kept serving for years after any honorable medical retirement was on the table. And he sat down with multiple presidents, including President Obama at the White House, to talk about what it means to come back. This is not a story of overcoming adversity. It is a story about a man who refused to accept the ceiling other people were ready to put on him. Every man listening is going to have to answer a hard question today. If Isaac can come back from this, what the hell is your excuse? If you've not subscribed, do it now. Hit follow. If this episode moves you, share it with the man who needs to hear it. Let's get into this. Isaac, I want to thank you for joining me today. So let's start. Easy question. Talking about a Marine, starting from birth. Where were you born?
Born Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Yeah. So a Marine, born from a Marine, right? So came in the Marine Corps from birth. And from there, you got a congressional and Senate hearing appointment to Annapolis, and it didn't make the final cut. What did that moment teach you?
Just keep going in a different direction.
Right. So adversity from the start, right? And when you reflect on that, was there anything impactful to you at the time?
It just mean that I would have to try harder to get the result I wanted.
Yeah. You were already in Afghanistan and Iraq as a contract before you ever enlisted. What was that pulling you towards that fight?
Initially I wanted to join the Marines right away out of high school, but my dad was a former, he's a Marine, but he said, try college first, get that education, and then try and go officer, which that's what initially I was trying to do. And then with the pause with the Annapolis, didn't get it, the final acceptance, then, I had to backpedal and then start a different path.
Right. You finally enlisted in 2005 at 21. What had to happen first for you there to get that going?
Well, I was still working for the Justice Department at the time, and unfortunately I was stuck on a desk basically helping with the police and law enforcement academies. And, it just, once you've seen it, action, you can't get enough. So get put on a desk and it just couldn't take it anymore. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going one way or another.
One way or the other. What got you into like the law enforcement stuff too? Just getting the natural, how was all this pulling you there?
Well, my dad, he was the director for the academy at the time. And then my uncle's a detective, or he just retired. So I had a lot of that. I just started working for him when I was going to college, and it just kind of worked into it.
Okay. Before you were heading to Iraq, what were you kind of thinking as a young Marine? Like what all was going on? I mean, you were very, had to be aware of what was happening in the world. What were you kind of thinking?
I was lucky enough to get to see a lot of things that the young boots at the time, didn't get to see yet. So, I already knew a lot of the stuff that, the drill instructors were going to teach us and whatnot, but I had that step ahead of them. And I think little of the DIs, they didn't understand it, but at the time, I was just going with the flow.
Mm-hmm. And so, you got to infantry school, and then you were going to head to Iraq. What were you kind of thinking, like, what was possible heading in there?
Well, just like any war, the setting changes. The enemy will adapt, try new avenues of approach, tactics and whatnot. And 2005 to 2006, they stopped trying to do ambushes and whatnot, and that's when the IEDs started being a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
They started hiding them, digging them inside all the roads. They'd find like carcasses, trash, anything they could to cover them, and basically use those instead of personnel to take out U.S. service members.
Yeah. And so when you got to Iraq, like, kind of like, how was the setting there? Like, what did it look like? Where were you at? And like, how did that look?
We did the initial Kuwait to kind of get the acclimated to the weather and all that. Well, it's interesting because the first week, I think we were at Al Qaim, and then it was Al Qaim. And then basically we were there for a couple of days before we did a turnover with, I believe it was 2nd or 1st LAR.
Okay.
And they were up north somewhere in Iraq. So we had to wait and then move up there to basically do a turnover with the vehicles. And literally the first or second night we were there, one of our drivers, he went into one of the heads, and it's almost like a trailer head. And apparently he left his weapon in there and then went back to sleep. So, and then one of the base commanders found it. And so literally we started off our deployment with 100%, fire watch because, and he was saying somebody stole it. But, and he had a few other stories down the road that were similar, but, that's how we started our deployment.
Yeah. Already high on there. So, once you got on the deployment, let's talk about, August 20th, 2006. Mm-hmm. You were on your way back from a raid. Can you walk us through what you remember?
At the time, early in the morning, we did our brief, and then we loaded up. I was down a sharpshooter, and then my team leader had a episode, so he was out. I was acting squad leader and team leader, so I was in charge. And it was a blessing in disguise that we were down 2 men. I took an engineer, Corporal Galvez. He joined our vehicle. We were the medevac vehicle at the time, so I'd dock with us. And we were just lucky enough because, it would have been more casualties had they been in our vehicle at the time. But we loaded up, and basically I told them, because it was almost a new fire team that didn't have the experience of the past team, that I said, hey, we're just providing security. Stay in the vehicle. Don't do anything crazy. We loaded up. We went out to the AO, the snatch and grab for these high value targets. We didn't even get out of the vehicle. I told them to stay in, and basically everybody in the other vehicles, they, did their 360, went to whatever the building was, and then they got the guys, loaded them up, and then we just headed out. It was not a shot fired. It was pretty smooth and flawless. And then on the way back to the FOB is we were passing by a mosque, and we're the last vehicle in the convoy, LAV 25. And I was lucky enough to be popped out of the scout hatch in the rear of the vehicle, and which I always learned from past IEDs that I didn't want to be inside the vehicle when the IED goes off, because it sends concussions throughout the vehicle and it messes you up. So I was always popped up. I'd rather get debris than, that concussion wave just bouncing your brain. So I was popped up, and then I don't know if it was just we were heavier than everybody else, or we just hit it right. And we just hit that pressure plate IED as we rolled over it. And I was launched from the vehicle after the explosion.
Yeah. And your team was pulling you to cover while you were on fire. What comes back to you about those minutes? Anything?
Yeah, I remember everything. A little spotty here or there when I got medevaced and all that. But I got launched, I don't know, it was about 20 feet away. I was set ablaze because we sit on the gas tanks of the vehicle, so it punctured it and basically doused me in like a jelly fire. Basically, I got up and then I ran back to the vehicle to get my Marines, and the doors were already blown off. And then I looked in, I could see my guys were already gone, just their silhouettes of ash I could see. And then I collapsed because I got caught on fire again.
Mhm.
And then from there, one of the other vehicles rolled around and they dragged me behind a little hill, and they were putting me out. So, because I initially was trying to stop, drop, and roll, but because of the gelatin napalm, it was spreading it. So, but they eventually pulled me away, and then got me to cover, and then basically loaded me up in another vehicle and got me out of there.
Yeah. And you were pronounced dead 3 times on scene, right?
I don't even know anymore.
Right.
A couple times.
And is there anything you remember about, in and out there, and anything you remember, those hours that were happening during it?
Oh, just some of the funny stuff, like when I was in the vehicle getting evac'd. I knew I was messed up. I didn't know how much. I was very thirsty, and my driver was with me, and I asked him to open the canteen for me, and he couldn't. He had some burns too, and he couldn't untie the canteen cover, and I called him a wiener. And then finally somebody gave me a canteen of water, and when I went to drink it, it just rushed like down my neck and over my body, and I was like, what the heck? I thought I missed. And then I tried it again, and it's same thing, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I am a little messed up, and I'm guessing from the injuries, the jaw, I just kind of flowed out. So, but I remember a little bit of everything. And then after getting the medevac, it kind of here or there images.
So at that point, it was just pretty much probably all adrenaline, no fear, no.
Yeah, once they started putting like the drugs and stuff into you. Yeah, they do a lot of the, especially for all the surgeries, they do where memory lapse drugs.
Sure. So like that kind of takes us forward to the Brooke Army Medical Center.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you first got there, was there any point where you kind of like when did you first understand, like, shit, man, this is what I'm facing?
Tell you the truth, I don't think I really thought of it that way. I think every time I looked in the mirror, I saw me. Even though I looked different, it was the same person. I had my family, parents, which they luckily, they're allowed to stay and all that stuff with me during the recovery time. But yeah, they never left my side. They were always, motivated, supported. They never lost faith. So
did you ever feel like you lost faith during that?
I was lucky enough to have the childhood I had.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't raised to be wusses. So my dad was always pushing us, sports, disciplining us, making sure everything we did was, right, wrong. Always do right, no matter the cost. And
was there a moment there where you said, I'm not fucking quitting?
I think my vehicle commander, a retired Marine now, that survived, he would always tease us when we were doing Mojave Viper or one of the Seagal Studios training scenarios. That he'd be like, when you think you got it bad, just think of it. There's some Marine or soldier or whatever out there that's probably got it twice as bad as us. So, when you think you're bad, think of that guy in that fighting hole or whatever. At the hospital, there's so many other service members there, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and from other countries too that were injured too, all with their own different scenarios, different injuries and stuff like that. So there's Merlin German. He had like 98% burns. He was I believe a tanker. And so they had a skin graft from his feet. That's the only place they could get it. So I can only imagine. And then anything else he had. So, my burns weren't as severe as his. I had some broken bones and stuff. So, but everybody's a little bit different.
Yeah. And so your moment was at some point during that time, like, I'm not giving it up. Like, someone else has got it worse than me.
Yeah. Well, then it's okay. It's over. Now it's time to move on.
there you go. 161 surgeries is not a number most men can even conceptualize. What did it teach you about your own body? Like going through that and like having to go through it and the pain and the recovery and
a lot of it's, there's so many instances and, lives, anybody's lives that they have to push themselves beyond their physical limits, whether it be their body or, mental, physically. People that are, women that are pregnant and they gotta, push a object that is, like a couple tons, and technically it's impossible to push, but they do it somehow, and I think it's just amazing what our bodies can do.
Yeah.
I had help with all the nurses and medical staff, obviously, but, they'd wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, make me walk around. So that was, still my legs were being used. I had to learn how to walk, talk, feed myself and all that stuff. So, it was like you're being reborn.
Yeah. For you, that rebirth, did you find the mental or the physical the hardest?
I always joke about people because they always, especially with the retirement coming up, I had to go through the VA and all that, and they're like, "Oh, do you need to get seen for like PTSD or depression?" And I was like, "Sir," I was like, "there wasn't much up there anyway to begin with, so it probably doesn't affect me." But I joke about that. But it is a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, and I think it's, if you let it get to you, then yeah, it will hinder your physical ability.
So obviously we see our common friend in Lee, and he helps a lot of guys with the mental attribute.
Yeah.
We talk about the body and spirit, but it's like, for me, anytime you see like a broken mind or spirit, that's obviously like the hardest battle usually. Did you find that?
PMA?
Yeah.
Positive mental attitude?
Yeah. For you, even though you have that, did you find that was still the hardest battle for you?
I tell you the truth, I don't know. I just, like I said, I was raised to be tough and not to just brush things aside, but to know like when I need to seek help and when to, when I could actually just push through it. There's a point to where it gets absurd and you're just like, hey, wait, you're going to break something. But I just had the amazing support from friends, family. The command came to see me as soon as they could. I had my vehicle commander and my driver was there with me. They were also recovering. So, we got to see them and all that.
Brothers in arms, yeah.
And we got to meet their families and, their kids and everybody. I met like amazing, the nurses and the medical staff that were not just my caretakers, but, I still talk to them to this day and, they're like family to me too. So.
And so the man that was there to a 292 on the CFT, how do you go from A to B?
Stubbornness.
Yeah.
Well, so when I was first in the hospital and I was, my parents, drove all the way to San Antonio, and my dad was in and he got injured back in the day, and it was basically, you have 30 days. And if you're not at the hospital, they're going to discharge you from, service. So on that 29th day or whatever, they're out of the hospital. So he didn't know what to expect when, I was in the hospital and them coming down there, but they had so many facilities, care and all that stuff. And the reason I bring that up is because like, I'm sorry, I forgot the question.
It was more of just, let's just take it from here. Like, you're talking about your dad, right?
Yeah.
30 days. He was told 30 days. And if he wasn't healed in 30 days, he was out.
Yeah.
What the hell made you want to stay in? What the hell put the fight in you saying, I'm not done with my service?
Well, still young. I still had a lot to live for. I felt I could still do it. I mean, it's not like, I was still young and live my life and, you know.
I mean, there's a difference between going and living your life, man. You
Yeah.
could have taken the medical retirement. You could have gone and done other things. But you still felt like you had something left to give to the Marine Corps and to the country and serve. What put that in you? What was in you that made that?
Well, I saw a lot of the guys just take the easy route and retire. And I understood it because a lot of them felt they didn't have a purpose still being in the military. I know a lot of the services had that issue. They were like, oh, once you're done, boom, we're going to retire you, medically retire you. And that's it. We'll forget about you. And then Marine Corps was pretty good about that because the Commandant, Secretary of the Navy, Sergeant Major Marine Corps, they created the EPLD program that expanded permanent light duty. And so anybody that was injured in combat, as long as they can do a job, they could stay in the Marine Corps. So, a lot of the Marines that got injured were able to do that. A lot of them didn't stay in, maybe another tour or whatever, but, it allowed you to stay in and still have a purpose in life. A lot of them got out and, they're living their lives and being with their family, which if that's what they wanted, but a lot of them felt they couldn't do it, physically and mentally.
Right, but you did. And not only did you feel you did, you fought 161 surgeries. You stayed in, you fought for how many years to stay in?
Yeah, well, over 20.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying, how many years did it take you to get back from the light duty to?
It's like 3 or 4.
3 or 4, 161. There's something that's hard to overcome there, but you wanted to do it. Like, that's not instilled in everybody. Like, what was inside you that was saying, I got to do this?
Just making sure you had a purpose and then teaching the next generation.
Yeah, that's a big one. And that's kind of what I was hoping you'd say.
Yeah.
It meant probably a lot to you to give back to others, right? And that's probably kind of how you live your life. And walk me through how, God, that's all that happened. Cousin does a 100-mile run, an ultramarathon without stopping. How does that happen?
I just have some friends that have some crazy ideas.
I would say so. But what made you say, hey, this is an idea? Like, I want to do this. I don't want to drive 100 miles after this, man. You're talking about running it.
I don't like doing it either, but
yeah.
No, it's just a lot of them were doing it for, nonprofits, for, veteran awareness, suicide awareness, all sorts of, nonprofits for, the cause, helping veterans. There's a lot of organizations out there and like, there's a lot of veterans that, need help, whether it be household, getting medical care or just somebody to talk to and whatnot.
Okay. So you ran for a cause then?
Yes.
What was your cause?
To tell you the truth, I liked the physical. I'm always a runner, so I like running. But I had a friend that had a nonprofit, and so he was into the CrossFit. I wasn't really a CrossFit guy, but he was doing the run, so I joined him.
And what was the nonprofit y'all running for?
It was the Disposable Heroes Project.
What is that?
It was for veteran suicide.
Okay.
And it's been a while.
Even in the 100-mile run, you're still a man who was trying to give out back to others.
Trying to.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much a testament to who you are as a human being. Speaking of the easy road, just a question off that. Why didn't you take that medical retirement?
I didn't think it was worth it. I think I still had something to give.
Okay. Yeah. And I think you did. I think you've given a lot back. So let's talk about that. 20 years after the blast, and literally days after hanging up the uniform, and you're still running and still training. What do you want that guy who used to be an athlete to hear?
Don't get old.
Die trying, right?
I think mine is, you still got it. You just have to want it that bad and, continue to have faith in yourself, and that's all you need.
Do you feel like you ever lost faith in yourself through all this, or had those dark times where it was hard?
No, that's why I haze myself.
With the 100 milers, yeah.
Remind myself.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't quit otherwise.
Yeah, because in then you wouldn't be able to help the others, like you said. And how many, you have, how many other wounded Marines have you helped, do you think?
Tell you the truth, after a while, it's hard because most of them retired, and then, they went back to their states and lived their lives, their families and stuff like that. So I think I was probably one of the few schmucks that stayed in.
Sure. So what do you think separates those guys who, like, who come back and who come all the way back from those who maybe go up and then plateau? And what do you think is a separator?
Tell you the truth, I think a lot of it was their families. They wanted to be with their families, and
No, I understand. I understand the guy who plateaued, and I'm saying, what do you think the separator was from, like, a guy like you who just kept going and kept going and kept going versus a guy who, like, maybe said, all right, I'm going to stop, I'm not. Just like on that 100-mile run, I'm sure there's people who stop.
Yeah.
What's the separator? Well, what do you think the separator is for you?
Just, I don't know, for me, it's just keep going. It's just like, I don't know, it's not even a thought. It's just, you're like, hey, you do something, you just, finish it. Otherwise, you don't, if you're not going to finish it, then don't start it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what I wanted with my career, is to make sure that, and I didn't think I was ever going to get a sergeant major. I was surprised I even got gunny. I thought I was going to be a sergeant for the rest of my career. But, we just maintained the faith and just kept pushing, and somebody out there liked me.
What do you think the difference between a real physical limitation is and one we just kind of put on ourselves or we negotiate with?
Well, obviously we have the training aspect, but I don't know, there's times where, like, I don't even work out that much, and I'll go do an event that definitely needs or requires some training, and I'll just do it. And sometimes it's just not even thinking about it and just doing it. And they just have to believe in themselves, and like, obviously some motivation or like friends, supporting you helps, but, like, you just got to have that faith in yourself.
So self-belief.
Yeah.
Right. And so for you, where does that come from?
From my dad, believing in, God. So
how important is faith to you in this whole ordeal?
A lot. I mean, like, even though I don't, go to church every Sunday and all that, it doesn't mean I don't believe in God, but I do, and that's just a personal belief. And I always tell people when I speak or, try and do a course or something, and I'm like, hey, make sure you guys have 3 things. You have your physical, mental, and spiritual. Everything will fall into place. And I was like, a lot of people, I tell them, I was like, hey, you may not believe in something, but guess what? He believes in you. And I was like, or have faith in, the people that are around you, because if you don't have faith in them, how could you, do anything?
Yeah. What is a one physical benchmark every man, over 40 out there, or just it's been in this thing? What should they be able to hit, and what do they need to not tell themselves they cannot do? Like, how should they inspire themselves? Like someone like you who's been through 161 surgeries, who's been through years of recovery to come back. What the hell do they need to hear? Like, here's a guy who's been hit with so much adversity and just saying, I just tell myself to suck it up. What do they need to hear, though? What do you tell those around you that you see struggling? What do you tell them?
Well, it's just, maybe they're not surrounding themselves with the right people. They need to join a better club or better friends. Maybe they need some help, like spiritually. They need a little guidance, show them what to do next. I mean, but that only goes so far. They just, they need to do it, though.
Yeah.
So, but as far as being 40, and I mean, it's only a number. You're the one that sets your, ladder of, high, low, what you want out of life, and just go out and do it.
What kind of standards do you think you still hold yourself to? Like when you wake up in the morning, like, even though you're getting older, right? What kind of standards do you say, hey, these are still important? These are my non-negotiables. These are important to me.
I usually let my weekends be the rest days, sleep in. If I want to do something lazy and whatnot, those are my 2 days where I just relax. And then during the week, it's work. So from 5, workout, and then work at 8, and then, do the work day, and then, go home. And then, that's how my day is.
The standards.
Yeah. And I've done that since I got back to the fleet. That's how I've been. So I'm at work, I work out, and then I've always been like that. And I've always tried to do that with my past commands.
Yeah. So it is non-negotiables, like, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Hold myself to these standards. What do you feel like you would be without those?
Well, I do it, so that the junior Marines can see it and they start learning how to do it as well. Because, unfortunately, we have a lot of, Marines that are being lazy. They call it the PlayStation generation and all that.
Sure.
So it's keep them in line and be like, oh, hey, I'm here to mentor and, support you, but I can only show you. You have to do it.
Yeah. And it's like, it's almost like when I would associate it almost like, when you're teaching young Marines, it's just like you're teaching children, like you teach your own children. Like, it's one thing to tell them.
Yes.
It's a whole other thing to go out there and do it, because the way that, as we age, we usually mimic what we see. We just don't go, oh, okay, man.
Yeah. And they may not know it initially when it first starts, but then they'll start to see the change physically. And unfortunately, I've seen too many units where the leadership, I always tell my juniors, like, hey, I'm working out 5 every morning. You're welcome to join me. And, most of them won't.
You ever give them shit like, hey, man, look at me. If I can do it, you can't.
Yeah. Well, and now it's almost like a punishment that we're, PTing that early.
Yeah.
And I was like, you either want Marines that are going to be in shape, they're going to do, first class PFT or whatnot, or you could just let them do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I was like, but the leadership, needs to be involved.
Yeah. And I think it's like just outside of the military too, like leadership in general, whether you're a parent or, a business or whatever, like it's all the same things.
Yes.
Like you said, you have standards, you have non-negotiables, and you live your life that way. And from that, you're able to come from where you were to the man who's doing ultra marathons, still helping others while he's doing it, helping wounded warriors come back themselves, and being inspirational for everyone around him, including myself. Like, I can't listen to what you're saying and not be inspired myself. I don't think many people can. It's about as an exceptional story as you can hear. And if you don't hear it enough, you should be damn proud of it, because the way you represent yourself in this country is beyond reproach, like beyond it, man. So appreciate that.
I've always tried to teach my Marines, but at the same time, they're also teaching me. So,
yeah. So, if there's somebody out there listening right now who's, maybe, successful in life or suffering within and quietly settling for things in their life, like we talked about, what would you want to say to them directly?
I would say look at the final goal or the final product of what you want, not just, money and, that comes and goes, nice cars, fancy houses, a bunch of women or whatever they prefer, and yeah, it's going to come and go in your life, but you are not, what you want to be in life is what you make of it, and yeah, it's nice to have money, cars and all that stuff, but that'll go away. You can't take that, you can only have it for so long.
Yeah. And, I love the way you say it, because I say something similar all the time. It's like, that casket can't take the money with it, and that casket can't take it. And, the only thing you kind of leave in this world is kind of the memories and the things you install in other people. Right. And I feel like from the bottom of my heart, I can sit here and look across from a man who's put a lot of inspiration and a lot of meaning into other people's lives. And I can tell you that I'm thankful for that, and I'm thankful for having you on here.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me. All right. Before we go, though, I like to do a thing with just a little bit of rapid fire, a little bit of fun with it. And the point is like, hey, no thinking, just first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. All right. 1 mile into an ultra, what's the first thing going through your head?
Food.
1 mile in?
Unfortunately, that's everywhere. Every day, every day.
All right. First meal after you hit the 100-mile finish line.
Usually I'm looking for like a bourbon.
All right. Best commanding officer you ever served under.
Oof. I've had like a lot of infantry officers. I've had I mean that's a trick. Well, deployed. I don't know.
All right, what's one of the better leaders that you've been around? What is?
I've had like leadership back in the rear. I've had leadership that are like deployed, stuff like that. So I know. Captain Simons was a good company commander. Colonel Kasner retired. Yeah. I think I had some Chief Warrant Officer Bora was a good IPAC. CW3.
Nice.
Yeah, I've had a little variety of a little bit of everything.
Okay. All right, song that gets you through the hardest mile.
I like DMX. X gonna give it to you, baby.
Oh man, that's one from my heart from back in high school. The one piece of training advice that you would give every Marine fresh out of boot camp.
Baby wipes.
A man calls you tonight and says he's done. He's given up on himself. What is the first thing you say to him?
Yeah, I was gonna make a joke, but
go ahead. Make a joke about the baby wipe.
As my friends know, I'm very sarcastic.
Yeah.
So when I say something, it may sound stupid, but then they're less like, "What?" And it throws them off, but it also helps them because it gets them out of that
mindset.
So somebody calls and I'm like, "I'm done," and I'm like, "What's his name?"
Yeah.
Or I throw in like, you can't just do that to your dog. Leave your dog alone.
Yeah.
I'll say something stupid
To get them out of it.
Yeah, to get them thinking about something else.
But then what do you say?
And then they'll start, "Shut up, you're an idiot."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Okay, what's up?"
Yeah.
Like, what are you done with? Is it the car? Is it a woman? Like, are you just like, you're tired? You need a break? You need to talk to somebody? Like, what is it? Like,
you just get them talking.
Yeah, and then they'll usually open up. But tell you the truth, humor has gotten me, my sarcasm has gotten me through a lot of stuff. So
yeah, I think it would have to. One thing every civilian gets wrong about what Marines actually do.
I know. A lot of times they might be right. I would say like how they think a lot of our job is easy, even at the basic level. And it's a lot harder than it seems. Even the working parties, painting rocks and stuff like that. It's, a lot of civilians wouldn't understand.
Yeah. What's the hardest workout in your current rotation?
Like what I do on a daily basis, or just like
during the week or anything you got going on right now?
I just Friday, just the recon challenge. That's about it.
What's that?
It's like a 26-mile hike with pack and then rifle, and they got obstacles every couple miles, doing certain things.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I'm sure most people can't do that. If you could go back to the version of yourself in the hospital bed at Brooke, one sentence you would tell him.
Get up and quit being a...
All right, last one. One word that describes a version of you that will show up from 5 years from now.
I was going to say Lothario, but I know that I have a bunch of friends that always joke about legend. The British Marines, they gave me the title Legend.
Yeah. My friend, I think that is a title well deserved by you. Legend is a great way to end that with you, and I appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Isaac, thank you. Thank you for showing up, for telling this story one more time for the men out there who need to hear it, and for being evidence of what comes out on the other side when a man refuses to quit. Here is what I want every man listening to this conversation to understand. Isaac was burned 84% of his body. He was pronounced dead 3 times. His jaw was broken in 37 pieces. By every rule of modern medicine, this is a man who should not be sitting across from me right now. And after 161 surgeries, he just didn't survive. He scored a 292 on his combat fitness test. He carried an 80-pound ruck through Bataan, and he ran 100 miles without stopping. He went back to active duty when the medical retirement was the easy way out. Now look at yourself. Look at the story you have been telling yourself why you were stuck where you were at, about why you have to hit a standard that you used to not hit, about why the body you have is the body you have right now because you think there's nothing else that can be done. Isaac's at the end of that excuse. Every man just listening just heard a man who came back from zero. And if you're sitting at 75%, the only question left is right now is what the hell are you going to do about it this week? If this episode moved you, share it. Share it with the man who needs to hear it. Subscribe, leave a review, and pick just one standard this week. And whatever that standard is, go just a little past it and start there. This is no hype, just standards. See you next episode.